Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Activities for People Living at Home with Dementia. My name is Gail Snyder. I'm the Executive Director for Dementia Friendly Fort Worth. We are proud to offer these programs with funding from the Area Agency on Aging and United Way of Tarrant County. These programs are recorded and are made available for future use through a YouTube channel. And today is Cookie Conversations, and we are making iced pumpkin cookies.
Oh, wonderful.
So there's the recipe, and I will share that with you by email later this evening. And so we are going to get started, and I'm going to stop my screen share so that your pictures will get bigger. But I'll be referring back to the recipe. So this recipe looks like it has quite a few ingredients. And so we're going to get started, and I forgot to get the butter out of the refrigerator. So let me grab that and we'll move forward.
Mm-hmm.
So since I
You know, the good thing about whatever Gail makes has no calories in it.
Well, if that were really true, I might be skinny, and I'm not.
Gail, you remind me of myself when I used to try to cook as a teenager and preteen. I would always get the butter out at the last minute and be so sorry that it wasn't soft. And there weren't microwaves back then.
Yes, there are some other ways you can soften the butter besides using the microwave, but I think we're spoiled to that. You just have to be careful not to soften it too much, or it really makes a mess.
Hey, Martha, I noticed in your name you have a lot of symbols.
Yes, several symbols.
Okay. Some of them are self-evident, but I didn't know. What's the butterfly?
This one is the Jewish blessing symbol, as
Oh,
well
really?
as
Spock.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yes.
Star Trek.
Star Trek. That's it. Star Trek. And the other ones are, well, the second one is the Jewish Star of David.
Yeah.
And then the smiley face with the hearts for the eyes.
Okay.
A fairy and butterfly.
Okay.
Just because.
Like it.
You too can do that.
Really?
So our first two ingredients is a half of a cup of softened butter and a half of a cup of vegetable oil. And I have converted, and I use olive oil for everything except when I might fry, like French fries or something like that. So I'm using light olive oil instead of vegetable oil. And I don't notice a difference in the taste in the cookies or anything that I make. So I pretty much use it exclusively. So we're going to pour in our oil and put in our half a cup of butter, which is softened. All right, and then we need a half of a cup of pumpkin puree, canned pumpkin. And I have that already because I actually made a batch of these cookies last night. This is the second half of the can of pumpkin. So we're going to put that in and start to lightly mix that. And then we need 1 cup of granulated sugar.
That's a gorgeous mixer, by the way.
Oh, thank you. That was actually a gift from my husband and my kids in the early 2000s. It has been a very good mixer, and I use it a lot. add in our cup of granulated sugar. And then it calls for a half a cup of powdered sugar. And last night I had to make a run to the store because I didn't have enough powdered sugar. And this is the first recipe, cookie recipe that I've used where it calls for powdered sugar in the cookie.
Yeah.
Not powdered sugar. Is that the powdered sugar?
That was powdered sugar. Have you had a lot of recipes that use powdered sugar, Nancy?
No,
No? Mostly for frosting, right?
right.
Yes.
Okay, and then we need a half a teaspoon of vanilla. And it never hurts to have a little bit of extra vanilla.
Oh, no, that's always good.
And I'm also going to add just a little bit of this Madagascar vanilla paste, which is something new that I picked up at the Pendry Spice Shop in Fort Worth. And it's a thicker paste. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice vanilla smell to it. Really get the smell of vanilla in that.
Wow.
All right, and now we need 2 eggs. And I am using fresh eggs from a local family that has chickens.
Oh, great.
So these are fresh eggs, and they have so much more flavor than the eggs from the grocery store.
They came from happier chickens.
Ah,
They came from what?
Happier chickens.
Happier chickens. Oh,
I have a friend that was neighbor to somebody that had chickens, and Myra and I would get fresh eggs constantly.
our daughter has chickens in her. She has a special chicken cage in her backyard. They live out in California, and she's got lots of chickens.
well, we started getting these because in March and April, when the grocery stores had limited supply, our grocery store was out of eggs for almost a month.
Hmm.
Wow.
And so my daughter knew that she had a neighbor not too far away that had eggs, and so we started getting them from them. And now I don't want to go back. All right, so then we need to do our dry ingredients in a separate bowl. And this recipe calls for 4 cups of flour.
Wow.
That ought to give us a couple of cookies.
So how many cookies will this make, Gail?
It says 36,
Wow.
but I actually got over 40 cookies out of the batch I made.
Wow.
It all depends on how you size the cookies, right?
Yeah.
I
My cookie scoop probably isn't the same size as the one they used.
grew up sifting flour, and it seems like no one knows what a flour sifter is these
Okay.
days. Do recipes not call for that anymore? Did they catch on that you don't need to do that?
You know, I think probably with the processing that they use now, the flour is probably ground finer.
Yeah.
So that's not necessarily required. There are some recipes that if you want it to be lighter, it helps to sift it. But I actually have a flour sifter that I use to sift the powdered sugar for the frosting. And I have an old-fashioned one a metal one up on top of my refrigerator.
Okay. With a crank on it?
Yes. And this one has a crank on it too.
Okay.
Now the question is it cranky?
It worked just fine when I used it last night.
Okay, good.
Okay, so now we need a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. And you think, what can a 1/4 teaspoon of something do? And a 1/2 teaspoon of salt.
Baking soda is powerful stuff.
Yes, it is. If you get too much,
Yes.
you will be sorry.
Yes.
And then a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. You don't want to get too much of that either. And then we need a 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar.
So what is cream of tartar? I've never understood that.
You know, that's a really good question. It actually is used in things like when you're stiffening egg whites. But while our cookies are in the oven, we'll take a look at that.
Okay.
And then we're omitting the cinnamon. And so we're going to use nutmeg, and it calls for a 1/2 teaspoon. And we're going to put just a little bit more than that. So I'm going to heap it up just a little bit. And then it calls for
Thank you, thank you.
a pinch of cloves.
Are those whole cloves or ground cloves?
This is ground.
Okay.
So I put a pinch of cloves, and that has a really nice smell to it. And then since we're omitting the cinnamon, I'm going to add just a touch of ginger.
Okay. Excellent.
I looked up cream of tartar.
Yes.
The tartar also helps to increase the volume of egg foam and keeps bright and white. Cream of tartar is often added to baked products to help activate the alkaline baking soda. In fact, cream of tartar mixed with baking soda is what gives us baking powder.
Oh, interesting.
So it's the substitute, in a way, it's a substitute for baking powder.
Yes. Well, between if you wouldn't need the baking soda or the cream of tartar. You just have the baking powder. Yes.
Right, right. Okay, so now I'm going to mix this flour mixture. And can you all see?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to slowly mix this into the batter. Being careful not to turn the mixer up too high and throw flour all over the kitchen. I just did it. I just
Tell
made
your
a mess.
husband hello.
Uh-oh.
You can see her. You can
All
hear
right,
her.
now let me double check and make sure we haven't missed anything in our recipe. All right, so our batter is complete. And you see it's a nice thick, it's much thicker than the pumpkin you would use for a pumpkin pie.
Yeah.
Or a cake mix.
So have you ever used pumpkin in a cake mix?
Can't see you. Here.
You know, I'm not sure that I have.
Okay. I was just curious.
I have a sister who loves pumpkin, and she posted a recipe of a pumpkin cake that looked really good.
I bet you could Google that, Dawn.
I could, but I'm not right now.
Can you all see?
Yes.
Oh,
So there's the batter, and it does have a nice smell of pumpkin and those spices that we talked about. And I'll tell you from my experience last night, it tastes good just like this.
Oh, yeah, good.
cookie dough, the best.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
can't beat it.
last time we baked, I had a problem with my scoop. So I got a new scoop.
All right.
And this one works wonderfully.
Yeah.
And we're going to use the bottom of a glass to press these cookies out to get the shape.
Oh.
So they're gonna, I can actually get 12 cookies on this sheet. Because once I spread them out with the glass, they're not gonna really spread any farther than that.
Okay.
All right, so now we have 12 cookies on our sheet. Can you all see that well?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have parchment paper that on that sheet?
Yes, I do.
Okay. As white, I didn't know what that was.
Yes, that's a parchment paper. Okay. So the glass that I'm using, just gonna see. My kitchen tape measure is missing. I was gonna tell you, I think this is probably about 1.5 inches.
Okay.
And so what the recipe says to do, I'm gonna hold this where you can see. Oh, forgot one step.
On the left, yeah, it's start video. Okay.
So it says, in order to keep the glass from sticking to the cookies, you want to dip the glass in sugar before you press on the cookies.
Okay.
And now we're going to press on the cookie till the cookie goes just outside the glass. And it didn't have enough sugar on it, the first one. Okay, so let me try this again. So can you all see?
Oh, yes.
So it puts a little circle in the cookie. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Which actually is going to help the frosting stay on the cookie when we put the frosting on it.
Very good.
And it also gives them kind of a uniform shape.
Can you hear my tummy saying yummy, yummy?
I know.
Well, hopefully when I mail these out, they won't take as long as the ones that Dusty's took.
Be
Yes,
careful.
Dusty's,
Love you.
he didn't get his cookies from when we baked 2 weeks ago until Tuesday of this week. So they must have gotten lost.
Hey, Martha,
Yeah.
I did look up pumpkin cakes, and it looks delicious, actually.
Oh,
You
good.
can have it single layer. You can have it. Okay, go ahead, Gail.
So now these are ready to transition to the oven. So we are going to move across the kitchen. I'm going to take you with me.
You do this really well.
Yes, you do.
Martha. So
What a gorgeous kitchen, too.
Yes.
thank you. The oven is preheated to 350. We're going to put these in, and it says they need 8 to 9 minutes. So I'm going to set the timer, and then we'll check them just before the 9 minutes is up.
Okay.
So, but I will go ahead and show you.
Wow.
So this is part of the batch I made last night. See how the frosting sits in the little circle? And I also added some yellow sugar sprinkles to some of them.
Mm.
I looked for orange, but they didn't have orange.
Oh.
So,
Somebody beat you to it.
I guess. I looked for a pumpkin cookie cutter, and I was going to try to put the impression of a pumpkin on the cookies. They didn't have that either. So this is only part of what the batch made yesterday.
Wow.
So
Did you and husband have pumpkin cookies last night for dinner?
my husband does not like pumpkin.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Now, my son tasted them, and at first he wasn't sure because it wasn't the texture he expected.
You're so funny.
But then after he ate another one, he decided that he liked them.
Well,
So this is the rest of the batch from last night.
oh, okay.
So when we put the icing on, it has to dry.
Yeah.
So I baked some ahead. So we're going to go back across the kitchen, and we're going to put together the glaze for the frosting. So it requires 3 cups of powdered sugar. And powdered sugar, you usually do have to sift if you don't want it to have lumps in it. So I've already done that. And this container has a measurement on the side for my 3 cups.
How much powdered sugar was it?
3 cups.
Wow, okay.
And then we need 4 tablespoons of water. All right, and then it calls for 1/4 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice, but we are not using that because we are not using cinnamon. So we are going to use nutmeg and cloves instead.
Okay, good.
And so I'm going to put about 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. And I'm going to put a little pinch of cloves like we did in the cookies. And also a pinch of ginger. And then we're going to stir that up to mix in the spices. And when I showed you the cookies a while ago, did you see the little speckles in the frosting?
Yes.
So that's the spices.
Okay.
And then we're going to add this water.
Kind of reminds me of Freckles.
Yes.
Freckles.
And this takes a good little bit of stirring to stir the powdered sugar into that 4 tablespoons of water.
Yeah.
Well, we hope the freckle won't heckle anybody.
Yeah.
Paulette, I bet you're really good with lines from movies too, aren't you?
I don't think, I don't know. I like to write.
You like to write.
Yes.
When you watch a movie, do you pick up phrases from a movie?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes. My daughter has a knack for that.
So Paulette,
Yes.
did you ever find the book that had all of your stories and poems in it?
No, it's a great big container. The last, no, I haven't found it yet. My husband was the last person to have seen it alive.
Oh
And
no!
I don't know where he put it, and he doesn't know where he put it. So right now it's among
Very
the
thick.
have all my writings in it.
I'm actually going to add a little bit more water.
Okay, it looks kind of pasty. Yeah.
Yes. Well, any of you ever use cornstarch for thickening?
Yes.
This is
My wife does.
what cornstarch does when you add water to it. Where it doesn't want to mix, it doesn't want to mix, and then all of a sudden it's together. If I had been thinking, I should have left a few of the cookies I baked without frosting. But we'll use one of the ones that comes out of the oven.
Yeah.
So now this is all mixed together, and it's a little bit thick, but we don't want it too runny or it's just going to run off of the cookies.
So it's nice and spreadable.
It's spreadable, but it is thick.
So spreadable, it's incredible, right?
That's incredible. Exactly, Paulette.
Can you see the freckles?
Not really.
No.
It's out of focus.
It's out of focus. Well, I can see the nutmeg and the ginger and the cloves in this frosting.
Okay.
All right, so let's go back across the kitchen. I have you on a rolling cart,
Absolutely.
my kitchen island. We've got just about 2 minutes left, and we're going to take a peek. Can you all see?
Oh, yeah.
Yum.
They
Yummy.
didn't change shape much, but they're almost finished. We're going to give them just a little bit longer. So yesterday when we were talking about this recipe, we were also talking about the origin of some of those spices.
Oh, yeah.
And so let's talk just a little bit about nutmeg. And nutmeg is a seed or a ground spice of several species of the genus Mysterica. Mysterica fragrans is a dark dark-leaved evergreen tree cultivated for two spices, derived from its fruit, nutmeg from its seed, and mace from the seed covering.
Huh.
Did anybody already know that?
No.
I knew that it was related to mace, but I didn't know how.
So that mace spelled M-A-I-S-E or something?
M-A-C-E.
M-A-C-E.
And let's see.
It's a pretty strong spice too.
And we talked yesterday, Martha, it's used in some Mexican dishes.
Oh,
I
I
have,
can believe that.
I have a couple of recipes that call for it that are Mexican.
Mm-hmm.
It's also, the seed covering is also a commercial source of an essential oil and nutmeg butter. Okay, the cookies are done.
My bird looked up and said to himself, "What is that sound?"
You didn't like that sound, huh?
It was unfamiliar.
Okay.
Oh, he is so adorable. Tell me his name again.
Woodstock.
Woodstock. I'm the world's worst at names, so.
That's okay.
Hello,
He's
Woodstock.
sitting here just a
Does
few
he have a
minutes,
nickname?
and
Do you
then
call him Woody or something
some
short?
frosting.
Okay. Okay, did you say I have to
Those were
cool down
great,
before you
David.
frost them? Is that what you said?
I'm sorry, say that again.
I'm not sure what you said.
We're
When you were
going
shooting-
to let these cool just a few minutes, and then we're going to
Okay.
try icing them, even though they're hot.
Okay. All right. So can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
So are your countertops red in your kitchen?
The countertops are actually butcher block.
Butcher block, okay. With
And
a, okay, they look kind of like okay, now I see it's a kind of an oak with a red, with kind of red tinge on it.
let me walk a little closer over so you can see. It might have a red tint because everything else is red.
Okay, okay. Well, I was wondering because I was wondering if you redid your kitchen just to match your mixer.
When we redid the kitchen, we used red accents because red is my kitchen color.
Okay.
So we remodeled the kitchen about 3 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and we built the cabinets and cut the butcher block out of pieces of butcher block that we ordered.
Okay.
So
That's
let
good.
me give you a close-up of that butcher block.
Oh, that's nice.
You
And
did a wonderful job.
You did, yeah.
every month or so, I have to oil the butcher block
Yeah.
so that it doesn't dry out too much.
So that's is that a stain rather than a varnish?
No, it's the natural wood, and then you use an oil on it
Oh,
that's
okay.
not harmful to be
Okay.
around food.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Just think, Gail, that keeps you busy for the rest of your life.
yeah. So we have the old farm, one of the farm size sinks,
Yes.
and then the windows above look out to the backyard.
Oh, that's nice.
Wonderful.
And I have
Nice and bright.
little mini tomatoes in the window because my tomato plant is off schedule, and we planted them in the greenhouse in January, but we didn't start getting tomatoes until September.
Wow.
And there's another plant that's making big tomatoes, and there's not one ripe yet, but some of them are about this big.
Yeah.
Mm.
Green.
Yeah.
So we're concerned that they're not going to turn red before the first freeze.
Yeah. It's getting kind of late. Getting kind of late in the year. The sun's not quite high as it was.
Right. And my husband said if they don't start to turn before you pick them, they won't turn.
No, they won't. So can you put them back in your greenhouse and keep them under lights?
The plants are enormous.
Okay. Okay.
So unless the lights would make them turn after we take them from the vine, that
Yeah.
won't work.
Well, then you can have fried green tomatoes.
You know, I've never had, I have a sister who likes that, but I've never had that. Okay, so I am now going to take these cookies off of the cookie sheet and put them onto the cooling rack. I can get you all adjusted appropriately. There we go. Stand so you don't have to look at my back.
You could be a demonstrator for a living.
You know, that's funny. When my daughter was little and we used to go to the grocery store and we called them sample ladies. She
Yes.
always used to tell us she wanted to grow up and be a sample lady at the grocery store. But one of the reasons why is because they would always give you things to eat that she thought they should serve milk with. And so she was going to be the sample lady that had milk.
Okay.
How sweet of her.
That is sweet.
Yeah.
I'm going to step across the kitchen and get the frosting, and we're going to ice these from right here.
Okay.
All right, so now you see the thick consistency of the frosting. So I may have to thin it out again just a little bit. Hello, Janine.
Good morning, Janine.
Good morning.
Welcome, Janine.
So the cookies
Thank you.
raised up a little bit more than the ones I baked yesterday. So those markings from the glass aren't quite as prominent as they were on the ones from yesterday. This one, you can still see it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually, the ones I baked yesterday, I didn't realize until I was in the middle that I didn't have enough powdered sugar.
Hmm.
So I put the granulated sugar in my chopper and ground it until it was a finer
Consistent.
granule. Now you can see as thick as this frosting is, it wants to run off the side of the cookie. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So we don't want to thin it too much. But these, some of these are a little bit bigger than my last batch yesterday. But I wish you all were here to try them.
Hmm. What kind are they?
These are iced pumpkin cookies,
Mm.
and the frosting hardens just a little bit as it dries. So I'm going to break this one open so you can see.
Oh, yeah.
It's got a little bit of a cake texture.
Yeah.
Isn't what we always want in a cookie,
Yeah.
but the frosting gives it a nice touch because the cookie's not all that sweet.
Okay.
So I will be finishing off the cookies to get them in your boxes and
Thank
get
you.
them in the mail this afternoon.
Oh, yum.
And Martha, when you emailed me, you missed putting your address. So I need you to send that to me so I can send you your box of cookies.
I will do that. My goodness, yes.
Okay, so one more
And
before
Daddy wasn't feeling well today. He
I'm
texted me,
sorry.
so
He had to miss.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was going to tell you, yesterday we talked also just a little bit about cloves.
Yes.
And cloves are the flower buds of the clove tree, which is an evergreen, also known, and I'm going to pronounce this wrong, as Syzygium aromaticum, both found in both whole and ground forms. This versatile spice can be used to season pot roast, add flavor to hot beverages, and bring spicy warmth to cookies and cakes.
Yes.
So I don't think I've ever had a pot roast that had cloves in it.
I don't either, but I can remember having cloves in a turkey, stuck in the skin of a turkey.
You know, I think you're right. And they also used to put cloves in the spice bags for some pickles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because my grandmother used to can pickles. And then I was also going to look at ginger. Let's see. There's one. Ginger. Well, ginger is a plant with leafy stems and yellowish green flowers. The ginger spice comes from the roots of the plant. Ginger is native to warmer parts of Asia, such as China, Japan, and India, but now is grown in parts of South America and Africa. It's also now grown in the Middle East to use as medicine and with food.
Oh, okay.
Ginger is commonly used for types of nausea and vomiting, also used for menstrual cramps, osteoarthritis, diabetes, migraine headaches, and other conditions. But there is no good scientific evidence to support any of these uses. That's interesting.
I drank a lot of ginger ale when I was nauseous when I was growing up. So,
Yeah.
so I guess it didn't hurt.
Yeah. In food.
When I'm sick, I drink ginger ale and eat ginger snaps.
Oh, that's nice.
There you go.
Ginger is also used as a fragrance in soaps and cosmetics. And one of the chemicals in ginger is also used as an ingredient in laxative, anti-gas, and antacid medications. Who knew that?
So
So-
expectant moms with reflux benefit from that.
Yes. Ginger contains chemicals that may reduce nausea and inflammation. Researchers believe that the chemicals work primarily in the stomach and the intestines, but they may also work in the brain and nervous system to control nausea. That's interesting.
Boy, I hate for my brain to be nauseous.
but the chemical actually tells your brain not
Yeah.
to be,
Oh, yeah.
not to be nauseous. But
Yeah, okay, I got it.
you were all talking about drinking ginger ale when you don't feel well.
Yeah.
When we were kids, my mother used to give us warm Jello,
Okay.
warm cherry Jello.
So like liquid Jello?
Yes.
Okay.
So she would heat up the water and stir in Jello, and that's
Oh,
what
wow.
that's when we didn't feel good.
That's cool.
So when I smell warm Jello, like when you're mixing it with the warm water, that's
Uh-huh.
where it immediately takes me to, is when my mom
Okay.
makes warm cherry Jello. So, all right. Well, we have finished our cookies for today, and I'll end with another view of the finished product.
Oh, yay. Beautiful.
Look for your
Wow.
boxes in the mail, hopefully tomorrow or Saturday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yay.
So they do have a lovely pumpkin flavor for those of you
Good.
who really love.
Just in time for Halloween.
Yes.
Just time for Halloween.
For
Yeah.
Paulette's birthday.
Yeah.
See, I have an excuse for being a witch that few people have.
So, Paulette,
Yes.
Paulette, do you have pumpkin cake on your birthday?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
So what is your?
Like, you know,
I'm gonna leave the meeting now.
Okay, bye, Nancy.
Nancy, it was good to see you. I'd like to visit with you next time.
Thank you.
oh,
Hi,
yeah.
Nancy.
So Paulette, what is your favorite cake?
My favorite cake? Oh, I don't know.
Favorite cake is?
I guess just, I don't know. It's something that's white and vanilla-ish I like.
You like white? Dawn?
And lemon cake, anything with lemon in it I like. Yeah, I like lemon. I don't know, spice cakes.
Spice cake,
And
be careful with though, don't you?
yeah, well, yeah, because a lot of them have cinnamon in it, and it's just that cinnamon makes my mouth break out.
Right. So Dawn, is your favorite cake red velvet?
Second favorite cake.
What's your
My
first?
favorite cake is German chocolate.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
With the coconut frosting on it.
Right.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
Oh,
my
that's good.
red
Yeah.
velvet cake that I make has the German chocolate frosting on it.
Wow.
So it's the dense, moist red velvet cake
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
made from scratch from my grandmother's recipe with
Wow.
frosting like on a German chocolate cake.
So what is the red in the
Yum.
red velvet cake made out of?
It's actually red food coloring.
Okay. Okay.
It's a chocolate cake with red food coloring.
It's actually a chocolate.
It's a lighter chocolate cake. It's not as much chocolate as a chocolate cake.
Right. But it's much
Sounds
more
good.
dense than a German chocolate cake.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The recipe that I have, you mix
Thanks, sweetie.
baking soda and vinegar
Oh, really?
into the batter, and it changes the texture of the batter and the cake.
Wow.
Wow.
So Janine, what's your favorite cake?
When I was growing up, it was red velvet cake that my mom made.
Uh-huh.
And when I left home and started eating other people's red velvet cake, I started wondering, why in the world did I ever like red velvet cake? And then one time when I went home, relatively recently, my mom made a red velvet cake, and I took one bite and said, "Oh, this is why I liked red
Yes.
velvet
Yeah.
cake."
It's different. And Martha, what's your favorite cake?
I've learned to love Italian cream.
Oh, that is a good one.
It's a lot like the topping for Black Forest or the one Don mentioned.
German chocolate.
Thank you. German chocolate.
The,
Anything with nuts and cream frosting.
Mm-hmm.
You
the,
know, the way I see it, cake is a 4-letter word, and it's one of those really good 4-letter words.
It is.
Go
Yeah.
Paulette.
There are
Yeah.
some 4-letter words that are super special, and cake's one of them.
Yep.
so when I
Cake.
was growing up, my favorite cake for my birthday was angel food cake with the cooked whipped frosting and coconut all over it.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
I kept hoping if I ate angel food cake, I'd be angelic, but it never worked.
I must have had too much devil's food in my day.
Yeah. Well, my
That's it
favorite
exactly,
cake
devil
now.
food. Yeah, hey.
Yes,
My favorite
Janine.
cake. My favorite cake now is a really rich chocolate, devil's food, or just dark chocolate cake.
So
Sounds
you
good to me.
the cake pictures I showed yesterday, Janine?
Yeah.
The one that was chocolate with French silk chocolate frosting on it.
Yes, that one looked so good.
That's a pretty good cake. So have any of you ever had the Black Forest cake from the Swiss pastry shop here in Fort Worth?
Yes.
But it's not a chocolate cake.
What is it?
Really?
It is made with layers of baked meringue. So it has a crispy texture on the inside, layered with stabilized whipped cream filling. And then it's iced with the whipped cream, stabilized whipped cream, and then it's covered in chocolate shavings and chocolate sprinkles.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sounds good.
So I ordered that
And
for my birthday or Mother's Day a couple years ago, thinking I was getting a chocolate cake,
ooh,
and it wasn't. It was baked meringue
Yeah.
with the whipped cream. It's very good. In fact, we've
Yeah.
gotten it several times, and we've actually tried making it. But baking the meringue for the layers of the cake
Wow.
takes 2 or 3 hours.
I'm not sure what baking meringue means. I'm not sure what that means.
So you make the meringue kind of like if you were making egg white,
shortcake.
Egg whites, yeah.
okay, and you bake that,
Okay.
but you have to bake it until it's completely crispy inside
Oh.
and out,
Okay. Wow.
and it takes 2 to 3 hours.
Whoa.
Wow.
And
What temperature?
I want to say it was 400 or 450,
Wow.
and I'm not. I can't remember.
Wow.
I have to look.
Yeah.
But
You didn't think it would incinerate itself after a while?
it's a pretty intense process, so we decided it's easier just to pick it up at the Swiss pastry shop.
Yes.
Yeah, it sounds like a winner to me.
So does it feel crispy when you bite into it?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
But then
Crunch.
it's got the cream between the layers.
Right. Right.
So, after several days, the meringue starts to absorb the moisture from the meringue
Yeah.
or from the whipped cream. So, a couple of days later, it's not as crispy as it is on the first day.
Okay.
And it has to stay in the refrigerator.
Yeah.
So that's all for our baking session today. So you have a wonderful afternoon, and I will see you tomorrow
So
for
what's on the agenda? Okay, go ahead. You were going to say.
getting ready to show you. There we go.
I am so grateful that you plan these and do them so
Yes.
well.
Well, thank you, Martha. So is my screen big?
Yes.
Purple.
Okay.
Texas
So
wind.
tomorrow we have viola and cello
Ooh.
Texas wins. So join us tomorrow at 10:30 for that session.
Oh,
Soft,
Yay.
wonderful music.
I look forward to that. Music, any kind.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're a great planner, Gail. You wanted me to hang around for something.
Yes. If you
Okay.
don't mind.
I don't mind.
Have a wonderful afternoon. We'll see you
You
tomorrow.
too.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Have a safe and healthy day.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Woodstock. Bye, Woodstock. See you tomorrow, I hope.
Yes, he'll be there.
Okay.
Bye, Miss Janine.
Bye.
Glad you got to join us today.
Be well.
Thank-
Tell your
Thank
dad I
you.
hope he feels better by tomorrow.
Okay. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.